everybody, Dr. T here. Today we are going to be discussing the healing that comes after DV. Healing from a traumatic relationship often means unlearning the unhealthy behaviors we had to use to survive. Without a solid foundation of what a trustworthy person is, we might falsely assume an unsafe person is safe, repeating these patterns. Learning to trust others involves self-reflection and understanding what makes these behaviors unhealthy. Surviving an abusive relationship is traumatic, not only because of the abuse, but also because of the violation of safety and trust that leaves many survivors worried that it will happen again. After ending a relationship with someone who was supposed to love and care for us, trust can be scary. Excuse me. Many who survive this go on to struggle to develop healthy relationships, or they may even avoid relationships altogether. When trust and privacy are not guaranteed, it is normal to feel vulnerable and exposed. The consistent and intentional violation of boundaries is emotionally abusive, which can leave invisible wounds that take survivors much longer to recognize and heal. Purposely harming a person, monitoring them, repeating private conversations, and not respecting privacy and space to heal, all of these things make learning to trust again seem like a difficult or even impossible endeavor. As a doctoral student who worked with a lot of domestic violence survivors, I find that many of the individuals have a history of surviving toxic or abusive families before repeating these patterns in adulthood. I myself ended up in an abusive relationship after witnessing and experiencing it in my own home. For many of us, our first experience with heartbreak may not come from a romantic partner, but from a parent or caregiver, and it crushed our sense of safety and security more than any romantic partner could. While not all domestic violence victims have experienced a family of origin trauma, common links can frequently cause victims of both types of abuse to ignore red flags or dismiss or forgive bad behaviors. Survivors of family dynamics requiring children to forgive or ignore bad behavior often end up learning to excuse or dismiss bad behaviors or red flags as adults. Ignoring bad behavior may have been necessary for a child's survival inside their family unit, but they often continue to ignore bad or abusive behavior into adulthood, and this becomes our new normal. Without a solid foundation of what a trustworthy and safe person is, we might falsely assume an unsafe person is safe. If we are still unhealed, we often try to unconsciously replicate relationships, often repeating the same patterns and the same pain. The comfort we feel with a particular person might be an unconscious desire to patch that wound. We might feel drawn or connected to them only to find out later that this connection was false, based on our unconscious trauma wounds, and it created a trauma bond. Remember that we have no control over other people and that many abusive people are not likely to change. What we can do, excuse me, is learn not to replicate the same behavior. If we notice ourselves making excuses for bad behaviors in others, make note of it. Remember, we all have the right to set boundaries and to expect others to respect them. For example, if a partner yells at you after they've had a bad day at work, you're allowed to address this behavior. Part of unlearning this message is also holding ourselves accountable to the same standards. We cannot excuse bad behaviors in ourselves. If we notice we have been irritable or snapped at a loved one, it is important to acknowledge this behavior and apologize. Unlearning the expectations for relationships to be painful takes time and usually brings some discomfort. At first, when we first start to demand to be treated better, this eliminates a lot of people from our dating pool. It can feel like turning people away, which could trigger anxiety or abandonment struggles. Excuse me. Our brain might say, we can't turn this person away. They might be our only chance at a relationship. This is not true. This is your brain desperately trying to fill that trauma wound. When you start to worry about being alone, remind yourself it is worth waiting for a healthy person rather than someone who will hurt you. After a traumatic experience of trusting someone who has used that trust to manipulate and hurt us, we might not truly know what it is to trust someone. This makes us more likely to forgive betrayals or dismiss bad behaviors. This is why so many survivors of traumatic relationships often go on to repeat these patterns in subsequent relationships, as I have done myself. Consequently, consistency and care allow someone to trust. Trust cannot be forced. It has to happen naturally. Learning to trust others is part of the healing process, but it takes time. Those we depend upon hurt and betrayed us, and we learned not to trust others. But positive experiences of opening up to others slowly and at our own pace allow us to open up more and build more trust over time. Surround yourself with support. Connect with friends or family who validate your experiences and provide encouragement. Building a safe network can help you feel less alone. Practice self-compassion. Forgive yourself for not seeing the abuse sooner. Healing is about moving forward, not dwelling on past choices. And remember, abuse is never your fault. If you or someone you know is in an abusive situation, call the National Helpline at 1-800-799-SAFE or text START to 88788. Everyone deserves a healthy relationship.